Hi there, Paul here from Dusty Workbench. In today's video, we're talking about wood fillers, or to be more specific, wood fillers that we use here in the workshop. We're not going to go, do the whole sort of trials of all types of wood fillers that are out there. There's dozens, if not hundreds, different type of wood fillers out there. So we're just going to narrow it down to 4 different options that we use to fill in our pocket holes and our wood imperfections. So the 4 that we're going to be looking at, one is wood dowels for the pocket hole. These are little wood plugs that are made specifically for pocket holes. You can buy them like this. The other option is, oh, I forgot to bring a dowel, just a sec. The other option is to use a dowel, which is essentially the same thing, just cut in a certain angle, but you can just stick these into the pocket hole and then cut them off kind of thing, and sand it down. And that's the same thing with this. You'll still end up having to sand these down. They don't fit in always exactly perfectly, so but they come pretty close. So we'll look at that option for the pocket holes, but for the wood imperfections, one of the options, if you're really out of any other wood filler out there, I'm just going to give it a go. We're going to go with the Probond glue, just filling in the imperfection with glue, see what happens. All right, so we'll give that a try as well. Next on our list is something that we do use often here at the workshop. So I've been using this a lot, just that we never really took the time to test all the different types of wood fillers out there, or different options that we have in our local big box store, where we buy our supplies most of the time because it's most convenient. It's just down the road for us. So one of the ones that we do use or have been using is this Probond Max from Elmer's. And so we'll give this one a go and you'll see how the outcome of this one goes. The other one is from our local Canadian company, Lepage. And it's called plastic wood filler. So they do have different brands. I think Elmer's has a plastic wood as well. We just didn't have it here in our big box store, so I went with this brand. So we'll give this one a go as well. And then the last option is the glue, again, Probond with sawdust. Sorry, I'm trying a piece of wood here. Sawdust, okay? Now you want to use very fine sawdust, like sawdust from your sander, your palm sander, or your orbital sander kind of thing. You want to make sure it's very fine sawdust, not something that's coming out of your planer or something like that. You want really fine. So we'll give those 4 different options a try. We'll compare them for how easy it is to put in, how easy it is to sand, how good is it for retaining the stain over top of it as well, whether or not it stains or not. Some of them do say they stain or are stainable. So we'll see if that actually works, right? So we'll give that a go. Stay tuned. Of course, if you're new to this channel, why not hit the subscribe button down below and that notification bell so that, hey, you'll get notified every time we have a new video here. Because we do tips and tricks like this, where we talk about different stuff that we use and what we find works better, things like that. But we're also starting this woodworking business out of our garage on the side of our full-time job. So we do this on evenings and weekends. And we share that information with you as well, and how that's going, what we do, what works, what doesn't work. So, hey, hit the subscribe button. But for now, we're going to get right into trying out these different wood fillers. Right on. All right, so the first option we'll do at this end is with the dowel, or this one with the dowel insert from Craig. So all you need to do really is add some glue. I mean, you can either put the glue on here or put the glue in the hole itself. I prefer to put the glue in the hole. Put enough in there. You're going to have to sand it off anyways. And then I like to put a little bit more here on the front side as well, just to be sure. Don't want that coming out in the right. Really want to make sure that it fills in all the gaps, like so. Push it in as far as you can. Now, right here on my little jig, there's a little thing here that's made to actually push those in. So that's already built into these Craig jigs to help push that in. So because it locks right in there and you can get it. So it's pretty much all the way in anyways, but just so you know, if you didn't know, that's built in to that little, this is the Craig Mini. I'll put a link down below if you're interested. We'll just get the excess glue off. There. Now, of course, this is not going to work for, for the indentation, but for, just for trial sake, I'm just going to go with the glue. See what happens, see how it looks, see how easy it is. We're just going to fill it in with the glue as though that's going to be our wood filler for this one. We'll just spread it out as though it's a filler. It's a little bit of a bump here, so it will take a little bit of good sanding. I don't know if I can show that in the camera here, but there's a little bit of an edge there. It's a little less than 1/8, maybe 1/32s kind of thing sticking out. So, or 1/16, 1/30, probably more of a 1/16 there. So, yeah, so just a little example. Again, I just let all the glue come out there, so give it a fair shot here together. So I'll just put some back in there because it does take a little bit longer to dry before you can move it around. All right, so that's another issue if you're just using the glue, but hey, who knows, it might work quite well. We'll give that a go. All right, next option, I'm going to go with the Probond Elmer's from Elmer's. And this one, it says it is 3 times stronger. For this, there's different ways you can apply it. You can use my old spatula here, or sometimes I just use the finger and fill it in kind of thing. But I'll use the spatula on this one. You can see I've used it before. Just want to make sure it fills right down to the base of the hole, so you go in different directions to get it in there. Now the one thing with this stuff, it's a little bit granular, so it's a little bit like sandpaper. It's a little bit tricky to play around. And then of course the edges of my hole still had a bit of wood sticking out kind of thing, wood edging. So see how long that takes just to get that filled in. You can go with your finger just to soften that a bit. That's what I usually do. And we'll see again if that shrinks, cracks, or whatnot. Right now it's nice and flush with the wood, so it'll be should be easy to sand. And we'll do the same for the rough spot here, for the wood imperfection. It could be a knot otherwise. Sometimes you have knots. I think I just need a little bit more in that one. Fill in the hole first. And then we'll just go again. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever done drywall and plastering. Kind of just want to fill in the divot of the hole. Going in different directions, making sure that it's nice and smooth. And away you go. Now, again, I'm going to give glue a fair chance. I put my finger in it. Telling you, the glue is not having a fair chance here. So we'll try that again. Get the excess off. Try to keep my fingers away from that hole. There. Cool. All right. Next in the test is the plastic wood. We'll do the same thing. We'll fill up the hole with the plastic wood. It looks like kind of very liquidy, even smells strong. So this is, after you open it, you do need to mix it. It's like there's sawdust in here as well. So now that I've mixed it, it's actually still kind of loose. I don't know if you can see that there. It's really going around, but it is a little bit thicker than it was when I first opened it. Now if we go in with our spatula, it actually does stay on the spatula a little bit better. And then you just fill in the hole. Now this stuff goes on really smooth. It's really, I'd say it's almost like working with drywall putty and much. last but not least, we'll do the glue. Now this is not Lepage, actually using the same bottle. It is still the Probond glue. And sawdust. Now, ideally the sawdust you want to use is the one that is the same color as the wood project that you're doing. That way it'll be a good color match. Another thing you can do is actually, add, if you want to stain it, if you're planning to stain your wood, you can also stain the sawdust first a little bit, let it dry, and then mix it in with your glue. So you can actually keep little baggies of pre-stained sawdust and then use it as your filler if you're planning to use a certain stain color. I like to put the glue first, try to figure out how much you might need. You can use any kind of scrap wood kind of thing, and you add sawdust and you blend it in. If it does seem a bit too dry, then you add a little bit more glue, but I kind of like it like this, for the reason being is that it can absorb the stain a little bit better usually. So once you have your mix, oops, I'll keep it. And now we're going to go with a homemade brand. Now this goes on nice and smooth as well. We'll leave this dry overnight for 24 hours. I'll give it a good chance to dry up. And then we'll come back and see again how well it holds up. The dowel, of course, hasn't changed since yesterday. It's in there and now it's nice and tight. The glue has shrunk, so it will be, once we sand it, it will be indented and we will have to refill it or a little bit more. The Probond actually didn't shrink at all. It's still actually higher than the wood itself when I filled it, so that's still good. And it is a bit granular yet. When I feel it, there's kind of like a bit like sandpaper. Very fine sandpaper, maybe like a 220 type of sandpaper feel to it. The wood glue, the plastic wood, looks like it shrunk a little bit here in the indentation. This one shrunk quite a bit, but maybe I didn't fill it in. Could be my fault that I didn't fill in the gap down below well enough. And that one is low, feels like it's lower than the wood in some spots there. So, and then the Titebond with sawdust, it shrunk. It is lower than the actual wood as well. And the same for the indentation area is also lower than the wood in some areas. So what I'm going to do is sand these down. Next, what I'll do is I'll use a brand new sanding disc for an 80 grit to show you how much time it takes to sand this down to about, in the 90% finish kind of level. I'm not going to go finishing. Okay, so that's nice and smooth. The hole itself is nicely smooth. Again, it probably, once I go with lower and lower grit sandpaper, it'll be nice and smooth. The only difference, you can still tell the difference between that wood and the actual pine itself. It's gonna be very hard to match the actual wood. Even if I were to buy our own dowels, it may not be 100% either. So it's gonna be a little bit darker and you still will notice it when you stain it probably. The glue, of course, like I said, it did shrink quite a bit, so I would have to put some more glue in there another time to see it get nice and flush. So next one, we'll do that one. We'll change the pad just to give it, make sure that it's a brand new pad here. See that? Give each one equal opportunity. That one was really fast and it is quite smooth. Like, I'm really having a hard time feeling the difference, other than it's still a bit grainy. Probably once I do go with a finer grit, it'll probably smoothen that right out. So far the Probond Max from Elmer's is looking pretty good. So the plastic wood from Lepage, we'll give that one a go. We'll change the pad again. Brand new pad. Okay, well that of course was very fast because as you can see it is below that hole here and below there, so certainly need a second coat. Last but not least, we'll turn the vacuum on. Alright, well that one took a little bit more work. It was really hard to get that glue off because you certainly want to get the glue off the wood itself, not to leave any marks or stains, you know, when you do your staining kind of thing. So definitely took a little bit more work, even though the glue itself in the holes, like as I mentioned before, they shrunk down into the holes. So we'll have to. Let's start by filling this glue end in the indentation. So we'll let that dry overnight. Next, so this one we don't have to redo, so that we would have been already done and ready to move on with this project. And we'll fill in. Now, one thing I like about this is that it goes on really easy. I mean, this is like butter. Homemade mix. So overall, so far, it was the hardest to sand. Much easier tomorrow. There we go. So we'll leave that dry for 24 hours, come back. In your case, it'll be in a couple seconds. Okay, so with the magic of video, it's been 24 hours, and let's see what happened. So with the glue that we had put on here, this is second coat. You can see that I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it shrunk again, and it actually may be indented once more. So it might even need a third one to get it nice and smooth, a third coat, but I think we'll just stick with the 2 coats and leave it at that. We'll sand it down and see where it gets at to. And then this one, the dowel was fine. We didn't have to do that one, so that's still from the first coat. The same with the Probond wood filler from Elmer's. It's still, of course, nice and smooth, still in place, so that would have been, we would have been done and gone by now. And this is the plastic wood from Lepage, so we did a good second coat on there. It seems like it's all nicely filled in this time, so once we sand it, we should have a good smooth surface, same as the wood filler here. And then third was the glue and sawdust mixture. It seems to be nice and full as well, so we'll give that a sanding and see it all comes out. I'll try it. Test is stain. How well does it absorb the stain, kind of thing. I think all of these would be no problem except for the glue because it is still bumpy. All of these would do fine with paint. Probably gonna have to do a primer just to make sure that. All right, so for the stain test, I'm using a mid-level brown kind of thing. I didn't want to go too dark. I didn't want to go too light. I didn't want to be able to see the difference. So I'm using a wood stain from Verithane, early American. And we'll give this a coating, same as if we were staining anything else, kind of thing. Let it soak in. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. With the magic of video, it seemed like maybe 2 seconds, but we'll just wipe off the excess and then see. We'll leave it dry for 24 hours and we'll come back and see what the outcome is. I'll just give this a wipe. So this again is early American. Nice looking stain. I love this look. Just wipe off the excess, a clean rag. And there you go. So just all right, so in summary, in conclusion, which one of these do we like or prefer the most? Now, we're not sponsors, of course, for any of these products. We're just going based on, you know, what we have, what we can get easily in our works, in, you know, in the stores, and we just trying it out. Now there's, again, probably hundreds of other types of options out there. Maybe one day, maybe we'll go out and buy them all and try them all out. So for now, all we have are these four. So the wood dowel here, kind of thing, glue at the top, just the glue, and then we have our Probond Max from Elmer's right here. We have our plastic wood here, and we have our glue and sawdust. So just to give a quick recap, the dowel, as you can see, probably matches the best and takes the stain in the best out of all of these. You know, you can barely see, well, you can see it yet, that it's, of course, the grain is different direction and everything else, and there's some dark color around it, of course, but in general, it does match the wood the best out of all of these options. The glue, forget it. It's rough. Again, if you're really stuck, and maybe if you're just, and it's really hidden, or you're gonna just be painting the piece of furniture or the project that you've done, then okay, fine, you might be able to get away with the glue, but definitely not something I would suggest, because it also gums up your it'll gum up your sandpaper as well. So, but if you're stuck, hey, why not just go with the glue. Next was the Probond Max. As you can see how it finished here, kind of thing. The stain did absorb. It is fairly close, but you can certainly say that there's a difference between the filler versus the wood. And for sandability, was really great. The application was quite easy. Only one application. Was able to put it in once, let it dry, sand it down, and then I would be able to stain it right away. So definitely very fast and effective that way. And the cool thing is it's quite easy to apply, whether with a spatula or even a lot of times I use it for small imperfections. I'll just use my finger, put it in there, and then clean your finger off and it comes right off, kind of thing. So definitely a good product there. We really like it for that reason. So sanding fast, so application fast, sanding fast, one application fast, and stainability, you know, so it's passable. I would say that's a passable mark there for sure. Again, not 100%, not as good as the wood itself, of course, but I would say give it a good passing mark. I would say it's in the, probably maybe even a B, you know, for stain wise. Overall, I would give it an A minus, just the minus because of the stainability of it. The plastic wood from Lepage, actually I think the stain took better than the Probond. I find it's a little bit better matching. Downfall is that I did have to do 2 applications. It did shrink on me. Whether or not it was my fault or not, I'm not sure. I'd probably have to do some more testing and more usage of it to see if it does do that, but I do find that it does shrink when it's applied, so you do need either to make sure that it's up over higher than the wood, but sanding really fast, much faster than the Probond Max. So this is definitely a close call. This, like I said, A minus. This might be a B plus kind of thing in my word. Only because we had to do 2 applications, which would be in this case, which would be a downfall on that product if that's the case. If we always have to do two applications. And then last, probably the cheapest, because you have glue, you use glue and sawdust. Usually you have lots of sawdust, so probably the cheapest option. And it works okay. Certainly not doesn't absorb the stain the same way as the other 2. The other option, of course, is to pre-stain your sawdust before you mix it with the glue, because that might give it a better option to matching the actual wood. In my case, I did it. I just mixed it with regular sawdust, the color of the wood itself, with the glue, and this is what came up. Sanding, a little bit harder than either of these. Even a little bit harder than the dowel. You really had to give it a good sanding to get off the excess glue and sawdust. And this one as well, I had to do it twice because it did shrink also in the imperfection and in the dowel, so in the pocket hole. So if it was my choice for ease and how fast it goes, I go with the Probond as number 1, plastic wood is number 2. The wood, I would only use the wood if it really was something that is going to be visible. I don't think it would bother if it's like underneath a table or anything like that, but if it had to be visible, then I certainly would always use the wood for that. But if it's not visible, go with 1, 2, 3, and then this for visibility. That's my choice. Let me know what you like, which one you prefer out of all these four. I'd like to hear about it. Leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, let them, put them down below as well. We always reply. So look forward to seeing you here at the next video, because if, obviously you probably subscribe to our channel by now, right? And of course you hit that like button, because this was an awesome video. So we'll see you here next time at the Dusty Workbench.